legendary drops. I freaking love this dude. It's freaking amazing. Going all in.
I need you guys to understand.
After this, we're gonna look up a Path of Exiles 1, like, lore video so I can get caught up. Because I played the first game, but I never actually finished it.
No, better yet, I need you to empathize that I had to pull myself away from Path of Exile 2 to even make this video in the first place. Do you guys have any idea how painful that was?
Bro,
this is my dream
I've been
game.
nonstop crazy.
This is the game that I've wanted for so long. Ever since I got the chance to play it at a preview event, it's been the only game that I can think about. I've been seeing God rolls when I close my eyes at night, seeing my army of the damned grow in number and rain hellfire upon my foes. I like Path of Exile 2 a lot. It's been an incredibly engaging experience, and I cannot wait to talk more about it. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to thank Grinding Gear Games for sponsoring this video. Yeah, that's right. They sponsored a video on this channel. Like, I wasn't going to be talking about Path of Exile. I got really lucky on that one, to be honest with you. So today what we're going to do is we are going to talk about how Path of Exile 2 has bridged the gap for new players and the new player experience, specifically with the skill gem system, co-op, and a few other things. This game is such an easy, such a smooth transition.
Dude, the co-op is phenomenal. Myself, Chaos, and Burrito have been playing. We've been loving every second of it. The co-op is top tier, dude. God tier.
New players that have no context about Path of Exile 2, or even our ARPGs, to be honest with you, and how that's likely going to draw players back to their first game as well. This game makes so many improvements on their original formula, and it just feels so good to play. And that's what we're going to talk about today. As of recording this video, I am over 30 hours. Actually, when I wrote this, I was at 30 hours. I'm actually over 40 hours deep into Path of Exile 2, and it feels like it's gone by in the blink of an eye. Time itself has warped around me. The sun has not changed position in days, and I'm strangely okay with it because I'm having that good of a time playing Path of Exile 2. The combat is insanely engaging. Every fight feels energetic and meaningful. The boss fights are quite...
I love how he has like a nice variety of freaking minions, dude. I finally got Reavers, and I've been doing nothing but one skeletal archer for the poison, and then Reaver, like all out
literally
Reaver.
Some of the best design fights I've ever played in a game, just about ever.
It's OP. The
I'm not even talking about the final act bosses. I'm talking mini bosses, the elites, hidden fights, and more. Every moment I play the game, I am that much more locked into it, and I'm loving it. There is so much game to play here, and it's only in early access. 240 skill gems, hundreds of different equipment types, 6 playable classes, and 6 more coming in the future. 3 acts of the campaign, and 3 more coming later. Beautiful vistas, incredible music, insane fidelity, and hundreds of different unique boss fights. At one point, I'm going to end up making an entire video dedicated to this game's boss fights and boss mechanics, but that'll be a little bit later down the road.
They're phenomenal.
Part of me was a little apprehensive about going into Path of Exile 2. Well, I've played a lot of games like this. I struggled a lot with the first Path of Exile. There was too much to learn. Nothing was explained thoroughly in the game. The skill, gearing, talent, and endgame systems had far too much depth and had all this needless complexity. However, Path of Exile 2 has reimagined, reconfigured, and resolved many, if not all, of the issues I had with progression in their previous title, and it's made it an incredibly smooth experience. Something I didn't pay much attention to when I went to a preview event where I got to play the game was the changes to the skill system, and ironically, I think this is actually what is making the game feel so much smoother to progress through.
Oh, it's so
in the original Path
simpler.
of Exile, you had to find gear that had sockets that matched the colors of the skill gems and the support gems that you needed to use. Not to mention, there wasn't anything stopping you or necessarily telling you from putting the wrong support gems on an active skill gem. This needless complexity ended up setting a barrier to entry that was too high for me to understand the game, and it resulted in me walking away from the game many, many times. However, in Path of Exile 2, all of that needless complexity is gone. Now you just find an uncut skill gem from enemies or quest rewards, you cut it for the skill that you want to use. Simple as that. You pick a class tab that you're looking to cut the gem from, you make sure you have the prerequisite stats to be able to use it, equip it, and you're done. That's it. What makes this even better is as you continue to progress through the game, you'll end up finding higher level uncut skill gems, and you can just cut those to level up the existing skill gems that you have rather than replacing them. When it comes to support gems, they take all of this another step further. You can find an uncut support gem, click to use it, And then it'll bring up a list of your active skills. You can then click each one of them and see what are the most suggested passives for those skill gems that you're using. And you can also see all of the passives that you could use on a selected skill gem. However, for new...
It really helps simplify the entire process. It really, like... I rarely ever have to, like... even though I went into it with, like, a mentality of what I wanted to do, like... sometimes you don't even have to like go back to your own little graphs or figure out what the frick you were trying to do. You could just like figure out it's so simple that even on somebody who has no idea what they're doing can sort of figure out what the next best path is, what the next skill you should get is, what you should be aiming for. It's easy to understand, easy to see how to get to it, like what requirements you need to get to them. You know what I mean? It's really smooth. I freaking love
players
it.
And less experienced players like myself, defaulting to the suggested or best available support skills narrows my vision a little bit and makes it much easier to progress through the game and makes the entire skill system that much more palatable. Now, just to show this in practice, I can click an uncut support gem, pick what skill I want. Say I want to use Skeletal Arsonist. I can actually see a preview of the skill and know exactly what it's going to look like in combat and whether or not it's going to do what I want it to do. I can then click to engrave it. Now I have it. I can click and equip it. And then once it's equipped, I can start using some of the support gems. What I really like about this is that not only are they showing some of the ones that they suggest for you to be able to use, but also at the same time, if I start getting ones that say I don't have enough skill gem space for or uncut support gem space for, I can just kind of plan those and start reading ahead and seeing what ones I might want to use in the future. I love this feature, and it's made the game that much easier to play, especially because I can start looking to see what's actually going to synergize with the build that I'm making at the moment. Effectively, grinding gear games has removed choice paralysis, something that I suffered from multiple times when I was playing the original game because I was hit with too many options and too much information right out of the gate, and it made it too difficult to parse out and decide what skills I should use, what gear I needed, and what supports I should use for those skills. Going into Path of Exile 2, I knew that I wanted to play as a witch. I knew that I wanted to take the Infernalist Ascendancy because it was one of the only two that were available. I had already created this image of a Hellfire Witch in my head, where I would curse my enemies, summon up the damned, and then just set everything on fire. From the outset, all I had to do was stay true to that personal class fantasy, and all of the systems never got in the way of that. They've removed so much needless complexity, and it's made the onboarding process of playing Path of Exile 2 far better than Path of Exile 1. And I think what this is actually going to end up doing in the future is it's actually going to make it, it's going to open up a gateway for players to be able to go from Path of Exile 2 to go and play Path of Exile 1. Because they're going to have a better understanding of how skill gems and support gems and the skill tree and all these different things work all together. And it's just going to make it for a much more easier new player experience. That's not saying the game is easier, because what's crazy is that even though they've removed a lot of this needless complexity, they at the exact same time kept all of the depth and all of the quality that the series is known for in the first place. And that's
absolutely
cute. That's great for grinding your games because you're going to end up having more players, not only for your new game, but also people that are going to be going and playing the old game. And that's great for the community because, well, that just gives us more games to play. And that's all we could ever ask for. Removing the gear slot and color requirements on gear alone with the skill system and the support system makes a massive difference. I couldn't play Path of Exile 1 without having a build guide right next to me, just because I didn't understand what gems I needed. If you guys go to some of the vendors...
Now I don't need to have the build guide with me. I can easily understand what I want next.
POE 1, you're going to see just a huge list of all these different gems, and you don't know what you want, what actually works, or how any of these things interact with one another. Like I brought up when I was talking about it, but I do really like the window that pops up that shows you how it changes skills and how skills work and things like that. Giving that little preview does go a really long way. And I also really like the limited view because for me, and I'm talking firsthand experience, when I was playing the game, I had no problem picking what supports I wanted for what skills. And the game actually helped facilitate whatever my power fantasy was for the game. However, I wanted to build my character. This is the first time I have not needed to have a build guide. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are out there right now that are loving the fact that they're learning the game right alongside everybody else, and you couldn't ask for anything better than that. It's so much more fun. It's so much more engaging. And it's also a better way for players to be able to learn the game themselves rather than have to be taught it by somebody else. But one of the things that I've had a lot of people ask me about is whether or not I think that Path of Exile 2 is a good game for new players that have either not played Path of Exile or have never played an ARPG. And I didn't think I was going to be able to say this, but yes. Not only all the massive skill changes and the different system changes, just making things a little bit more palatable, but also at the same time, the engaging elements and the interactivity of co-op play. If you guys have not played this game co-op, you need to sit down with a friend and you need to play it co-op because it is so cool to see some of the interactions. And
we got a party of 3 so far, but potentially Rai might be joining us, so we can get a party of 4.
Talk about. Now, I've mentioned this a few times in past videos, but Champions of Norath was my introduction into this genre. I played it on PS2 with my friends. That's where I fell in love with these sort of games. After beating Champions of Norath a few times, we moved on to Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2, then on to Diablo 2 Lord of Destruction, and we cycled those games over and over throughout the years. While I love playing these sort of games solo, I love them even more when I'm playing with friends. Path of Exile 2 has couch co-op, cross-play between PC, Steam, PS5, and Xbox, and supports cross-progression on all platforms, meaning that I can have a friend over, we can chill on the couch, and we can play the game, and then we can go take those characters back to our preferred respective platforms and continue to play the game. I love it. It's great. I have friends right now that are ahead in the game that are going back to help out other friends that are struggling with certain areas or specific bosses.
Same.
I have friends that I just started a save file with, and I also have friends that are at the exact same level of progression and just want to play with somebody else just for the social nature of it. Path of Exile 2 is an incredibly dynamic and engaging game. Now, I spoke on this in my hands-on preview, but the interactivity...
And that's the best part. As far as me and Chaos are concerned, maybe even Burrito, like, I'm planning on, like, beating the 3 acts we got so far, like, grinding out my character, and then starting another character, and grinding out all 3 acts as well. Like, because I want to have multiple characters. And it's just that fun. Like, it's just that good of a game.
Of spells and the more meaningful combat takes Path of Exile 2 and, honestly, ARPGs in general to an entirely different level. What's crazy is this isn't limited to just you as a player. It opens up even more when you start playing with other people. A major highlight that was shown off in previews and now people are actually seeing in gameplay is the interactivity of spells and abilities. How you can cast a flame wall and fire a spell through it, and you'll combine the different element types and deal even more damage. This is true even if you're playing with other players. One of us can focus on ice while the other one can focus on fire or lightning, combining our abilities and using each other's active abilities on the battlefield to make different combinations.
This is actually amazing, right? So, Chaos, since I didn't have detonate data at the time, I would fire a poison arrow, and that poison arrow, that gas arrow, was actually technically flammable. So Chaos would throw his mercenary, like, grenade to ignite it, and we'd deal so much freaking damage, dude.
And play off of one another. Now, I didn't realize this until the other night, but you can technically build characters that are meant to support another character. There are items that you can use and you can find that have affixes that buff nearby allies. As an example, I play as a witch, and I have a scepter in my hand that increases damage of nearby allies and also adds different specific element types to the damage they do.
That's a good... I love the Skeletal Warrior minions, because you get 2 Skeletal Warrior minions that are freaking phenomenal. Personally, though, I go for the... what is it? Not Mercy. Merciless. Something like that. It's the red one, the one that increases critical damage, dude. Because my entire build is solely dedicated to just my minions deal all the damage. I can make corpses explode, but that's about as far as I go, personally.
Like, hell, there is even a skill in the passive tree where if you would gain a charge from using a skill, your allies will instead gain a charge. Meaning that you could quite literally build 2 characters whose sole purpose is to support the other character, or a team of characters if you really wanted to get crazy with it. One character that's generating resources for another, one that's buffing, casting support spells, casting combinations of spells, and adapting a playstyle that is entirely unique to co-op only. Now, keep in mind that co-op supports up to 6 players. The amount of crazy combinations of abilities and passives is effectively endless. I don't think I've ever seen another game do anything like this before, at least to this level of detail, and it's something that I greatly appreciate. Most times in co-op games, there isn't much motivation to actually work together. You're essentially doing your own thing, but accomplishing the same goal. In Path of Exile 2, Playing co-op actively promotes genuine teamwork and team building in a way that is foreign to this genre and a lot of games over the past few years. You're trading items, planning your classes, discussing your skills, collaborating on what gear to use and what passives to take. For players new and old, I think this is one of the most innovative and unique ways to play the game. So I have this playthrough with my buddy where he's playing a monk and I'm playing a mercenary, and he's going in, he's gathering the enemies, he's locking them in place. I'm throwing grenades from the back line and making sure that I can hit all of them at the exact same time. I'm shooting shots, breaking enemy armor so that he can deal more damage. I'm then going in with this ice shotgun and freezing enemies in place, and then he smashes them with lightning damage, sending out these lightning-infused shards that hit other enemies. Dude, it is so cool. It's so cool. There's so many unique and interesting ways to be able to play with your friends, and that's just something entirely foreign for a genre like this. We just don't see this kind of gameplay, especially from the co-op side of things. Like I said before, most people come to play games like this by themselves, but there's so many cool dynamics between players if you go to play this game with your friends. And I highly recommend, if you have friends that are playing it, or if you have friends that are interested in it, or if you are the friend that is interested in it, then play it with your friends, because it's a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely recommend.
You know, we see a lot of build guides
amazing.
pop up for games like this, but I like to see team guides pop up because there's so many cool combinations of equipment and abilities and passives and classes and things like that, where you're going to be able to come up with some wild combos. And I'd love to see some of the greatest minds in Path of Exile come together and make some really cool and dynamic team builds to play Path of Exile, because I think that would be a lot of fun. It's not something that I expected to be in a game like this. I don't think a lot of people probably expected it to be in a game like this, but I am so glad that it's there, and it is so damn cool and fun. More importantly, it's fun. Anyway, I'd like to thank Path of Exile for sponsoring this video. The game is currently available in early access, starting at $30. If you guys buy the $30 support pack, you get $30 of in-game currency. It's basically a wash for, quite literally, one of the best game releases in 2024. If you're not playing it, I don't know why you aren't, and you really should. This is one of the very few times that I can definitely say this is a game that I want everybody to play, I want everybody to support, and Grinding Gear Games is definitely a company that I have no problem at all supporting. Anyway, thank you guys for watching the video. If you guys enjoyed the video, share it with your friends, like the video, subscribe to the channel, catch me live on Twitch if you guys want to watch some Path of Exile gameplay yourself. Outside of that, my friends, stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. Again, thank you to Path of Exile 2 for sponsoring this video. You can find the game using my link in the description or pinned comment below. The game is available on the Epic Game Store, Steam, PC, Xbox, and PlayStation 5.
Family. Phenomenal video, my dude. Great video. Yeah, no, dude. Path of Exile has been one of the most phenomenal games that I've played in recent history. I freaking love it. It really just took a lot of the mechanics from the first game and overall simplified them, making it way easier for anybody to understand, really. I absolutely love it. Even, like, Burrito, who was barely getting into the systems in the first game, fully got into the second game. Not only did he feel like it was, like, way simpler, but he just felt right at home on it as well at the same time. So, highly recommend it. Definitely try it out. I freaking love that thing, dude. It's freaking good. Let's move on. I want to check out the actual storyline of the first Path of Exile. Thanks for hanging out. Like or dislike, comment, and subscribe, and become a Monodachi today! I live stream all day, Monday through Friday, so go say hi! That's all for now, Monos. Goodbye, and thanks for swinging by. Salut!